Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for our virtual Ask the Expert KUSD Early Education panel. I'm joined with some great experts in our Kenosha community that work with young children. And we are going to get started by going around and giving a brief introduction. So panelists, I will take turns calling on you if you want to share your name, your job title, and maybe a basic explanation of your job. And why you got into the early education field. So I will start. My name is Tessa Fox-Polachek. I'm the early literacy librarian at the Kenosha Public Library. And I got into early literacy librarianship because I think it's the most fun. It's where you can really make a big impact on the kids. I get to buy all the picture books and board books for the library. So it's a really rewarding job, and I love being able to see kids' love of learning and literacy grow. That being said, I will pass the mic over to Luanne, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Certainly. My name is Luanne Rhodey. I am the Director of Early Education for Kenosha Unified School District, which means I'm responsible for all of the young learners that are in our 4K programs in the school district, as well as the 4K programs that are in the Child Care Center and Head Start. I also serve as the Director of Head Start. How did I get into this field? I've been in education a long time, spent a lot of time as a first grade classroom teacher and learned a lot about developmentally appropriate practices and early education and all of that. And through my career, spent as a teacher, an instructional coach, dean in the elementary school, a principal in the elementary school, and then happened to move from principal into this director position. So it's been a long path, but I'm exactly where I love to be with the little ones and their exciting learning path.
Great, thank you, Luanne. Katie, if you want to go next.
Sure. Hi, my name is Katie O'Neill, and I am I work with the early education department, and I am one of the instructional coaches. So I get to do professional learning for the teachers and get to hang out in their classrooms and do some coaching to support them to implement the curriculum so they can do their best work with the students and families. And why did I get in this field? You know, I like being around people. I like being around kids. I've always enjoyed them and seemed like a good path. And I'm certainly glad I did because I'm in a wonderful district getting to support students and families.
Great, thank you, Katie. Sam, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Absolutely. My name is Samantha Mcgovern. I am another instructional coach with the early education program in KUSD. I do the same job as Katie does. And, you know, to add to what she said, just like baseball players need a coach to be better baseball players, our teachers get us as coaches to help them be the best teachers that they can be. So that's kind of what we do, is support teachers through professional learning in a group or small groups or individually to give them what they need to be the best teachers they can be. I got into early education because I think early education is where it's at as far as making a difference. We have the opportunity to influence love of learning in young children, and we get to make a big impact on kids and families by working with kids this age, because we get to work a lot with the families too. And I love to work with the families and see them get excited about their children's education. So that's why I'm here.
Great, thanks, Sam. Alex, if you'd like to go next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Haubrick, and I am the enrollment coordinator for the Head Start program, which means that I am out in the community, meeting different families and getting their children enrolled into education, those 3- and 4-year-old kids. let's see, I have been doing this job for the last, I think this is going to be my 6th school year with Kenosha Unified's Head Start program. And why did I get into this field? I think because it's these kids this age, it's my favorite age. They're so impressionable at this age. And just being able to not only work to have their child get into school, but also partnering with their parents as well.
Great, thanks, Alex. And last but not least, Chris, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Chris Cresto, and I'm the owner and administrator of Kids Castle Preschool and Summer Camp here in Kenosha. I have been in this role for about 17 years now, and I've owned the center for about 12. So I've been involved with the KUSD collaboration 4K basically since I started. It's probably 15, 16 years ago. When we first got this ball rolling. The reason why I got into this field primarily is because I enjoy working with families. I enjoy the fact that I get to see all of my families along with all of the kiddos every day. And they're just, I love the age group because they are so excited about everything at these ages. And it's just awesome to be able to witness that every day. So thank you.
Great. Well, thank you again all for being here tonight. We are going to get started with a brief video that KUSD helped put together. You might recognize a familiar face or two in it. That just sort of shows the values of early education enrollment at KUSD. So I'm going to get that loaded up here for us. Bear with me. Here we go. Sorry about that.
Enrolling your child now in Kenosha Unified School District's early education program will provide a strong foundation for your child's future.
Our teachers are child experts because they have degrees in early education and they are trained in strategies that help our youngest learners grow and develop.
Parents should enroll their children in Kenosha's early education program because we are play-based, we are fun, we are academic, we are the foundation of their school career, we are everything that school should be.
I enrolled my kids in the Kenosha Early Education Program because from 0 to 3, they said that they had one of the best programs within the city, and one of them has special needs. For my one daughter who was on the spectrum, she wasn't speaking at all, so the main point of her coming to the program was for hopefully her to have some kind of speech. And for my other daughter, it was just pre-K basically, so she had to get ready for kindergarten. This program offers something for every child.
They were concerned for my kids' education. They offered the program, and I got them enrolled as soon as I could.
The strengths of our program are really great family connections, resources for families, building confidence within kids, and encouraging them towards their goals.
Kenosha's early education program prepares your child for success by listening and creating goals that build their academic, social, emotional, and physical abilities.
Our early education program sets the foundation for our students to be successful in school and in life. Children practice their literacy and math skills and problem-solving skills.
It's really important that we build those skills starting in 4K and get them progressing through kindergarten and onto first grade and encourage their confidence and independence at this stage. So we do a lot of small group instruction as well as individualized instruction towards a goal of their own.
They teach in a different way where it's almost simplified to the child's needs. Whether it's visual or physically hands-on, they meet every kid's educational needs wherever level they are at. Seeing him confident in himself is letting me know that the kids here are getting what they need from their teachers and that they're meeting their criteria.
The program partners with parents, building a trusting relationship based on the family's knowledge of their child and the teacher's expert care.
In early education, we partner with our families because they are their child's first teacher, and they have a wealth of knowledge about the children that we can build on and work with and help their child grow.
We partner with the parents by listening to them. We are in constant contact every day. We invite them into our classrooms to volunteer. We also make sure to do home visits so we can meet them in their space before they come to ours.
Their teachers are very caring, and you can feel that when they talk to you and when they interact with your kids. You don't feel like you're being left out of anything. And before any major decisions, they always go, "Oh, are you okay with this?"
We want to build those relationships so that we can encourage kids to meet their goals and work on things at home that correlate with what we're doing in the classroom. Things like self-care and sharing their knowledge with their families.
They're really wonderful at communicating with me, easy access to just a phone call away, and I love them. It makes me feel wonderful. It makes me feel complete as a parent that my kid is getting their needs met, and I can't be more happier for him.
The kids' energy and ideas and problem solving just keeps me coming back for more, and I love working with them every day.
Every year I get these fresh new faces that are excited and want to learn. I love my job. I love getting up and coming here. I'm invested in these kids. We're a family.
In Kenosha's early education program, we really focus on the success of each and every child.
For my daughters, one of them was talking but only bits and pieces, but now she can say full sentences. So I feel like she's actually ready for kindergarten. But for my other daughter, there was no talking whatsoever. And now she actually can talk in a few sentences here and there. With this program, I got to hear my daughter's voice, and for that, I'll forever be grateful.
Register your child now in Kenosha Unified School District's Early Education Program. Visit kusd.edu.
All right. And here's the star of that video, Luanne. Thank you. All right. So let's see. So that, I think, sort of set the stage for us tonight. Just talking about the importance of getting kids in the classroom really as soon as they can and start to learn, you know, not just things like letters and numbers, but how to interact, how to socialize, how to resolve conflict between each other, how to share. That's a big one. So without any further ado, I think we will kind of get into the discussion. We're going to start by covering the different programs within the early education offering at KUSD. But before we do, a very important thing to note is we're going to talk a lot about these different programs. There is time to still enroll your child in any of these programs for the upcoming school year. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out at the end of the presentation, or if you want to put something in the chat, I have your registration information. Since you signed up for tonight's program, I can follow up with you and get you the information that you need or connect you to the person who can. So here we go. So maybe we've got a couple different programs within early education. We've got 4K, maybe you've also heard that as pre-K, 4-year-old kindergarten, the Head Start program, and early childhood education. So if anybody would like to give a brief explanation, sort of the difference between those three, and then we can kind of go dive in with each program a little bit more specifically.
Okay, I'm going to start with that one. 4K preschool, 4-year-old kindergarten. It goes by a lot of different names: early education, early childhood, 4K, Head Start, all of that. Basically, KUSD offers what they call universal 4K. So we have 4K in every school, elementary school in the city, along with classes at Chavez, which is a choice school. The program 4K is we we kind of blend our programs. So we have Head Start and 4K children in the same classroom in 11 sites, 11 elementary buildings. So it doesn't matter, when early childhood refers to the special ed portion, and Sam will talk about that in a little bit. But no matter which program a child is enrolled in, whether they are a Head Start child or an early childhood child or a 4K child, they are getting the same experience, the same curriculum, the same program, no matter where they are. And like that video said, we really meet the children where they are and help them learn and grow as far as what their needs are, whether they are, any needs, I don't know, and anything. But the program that they get is in an elementary school, and it is the same program curriculum for each different label, I guess, that we put on them. So basically, you can be 4 years old by September 1st to qualify for 4K. To be a 3-year-old and in our program, you either have to be special ed or Head Start. What else? I guess.
So Luanne, can I add just one thing?
Yeah, go right ahead.
You mentioned about having 4K in all of our elementary buildings, but also our collaboration with the child care centers. And I believe last year we had six child care centers that we collaborated with, and then again this year we have that option as well to collaborate with them.
Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
Yes, we will definitely be talking more about that option for a KUSD 4K environment in a daycare setting, not at an elementary school. We will dig into that more shortly. So I guess we'll start with 4K and kind of what the ins and outs of this program. So Luanne mentioned you have to be 4 years old by September 1st for 4K. And so where are the classrooms? As we said, elementary schools and some of the partner child care centers, which includes Kids Castle. And so we have Chris from Kids Castle here to help talk about that. So if anybody has any specifics they want to share about 4K, particularly maybe like the before and after school childcare options, is there a cost associated? Anything else you think parents need to know about 4K?
Well, when you mentioned before and after childcare options, there are very many options out there, and every school kind of has their own. There are some that have before and after childcare in the school building that they contract with different local community agencies. There are some, and you know, Chris can talk about this too, childcare centers that will transport children to and from schools for the 4K program. Generally, the child care does not, we have AM sessions and PM sessions. So schools will have before school programs or after school programs, but they won't have like the morning session if you're a PM child, or the PM session. So families have to find different options, whether it's you know, family that's taking care of them, or childcare centers that will provide that care for the children in that other half of the day. So there's quite a few options out there, and I would suggest that parents, whatever their boundary school is, talk to the school to see what options are available, or talk to some of the childcare centers that we have in the community to see what options they might have. And Chris, you might be able to add a little bit from the childcare perspective.
Yes, the collaboration between KUSD and the childcare centers happened, oh goodness, probably 14 or 15 years ago. So Kids Castle, I can tell you, was one of the pilot programs for that, as well as 4 or 5 other centers. And so we have been providing KUSD an option in our program that you can have a KUSD 4K experience where an actual KUSD teacher comes into the center and teaches our children just like you would get in a school setting. It's just in a childcare setting. And a big part of the reason why that has started in many communities all over the state is because parents are working, and rather than having their kids bused from here to there, because it's pretty specific bus routes that many of these centers are on. So you can't just choose to go to your home school and then have your child bused over to some other center. It has to be within a bus route of that center. So we have wraparound care in the AM and the PM, as well as many other centers. And we provide that care at a cost. Every center is a little bit different how they handle that. The way we do our program is Monday through Thursday. They have 4K from with KUSD from about 8:30 till about 11:40-ish. And then we provide care before that time and after that time. So the children are in our environment that entire 8-9 hours, depending on how long they're working, but they're getting that KUSD education in that morning slot. And that is how it is. I don't know exactly how many centers are having it this year. I think it's maybe 8, Luanne. I don't know if that's changed at all.
We're looking at 8. You're correct, Chris.
So yes, so my suggestion is if you are interested in needing care for a full day, but still have a 4-year-old and you don't have somebody that can transport back and forth, that you seriously look at one of these childcare centers, because they can provide the same, basically the same experience as what they're going to get in a school environment, just in their childcare center.
Yeah, very well said, Chris. And you know, the nice thing about this option is it does offer an option to working families, because we do have a half-day program. So you can drop your kid off and know that they're well cared for all day long, and pick them up when you're done with work. And that option is nice to have, to offer families, because everybody's family situation is different.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you for addressing that. And that's one of the reasons that it's so good to cover all these different programs, because as Luanne said, every family is different, and what their child needs and what support the family needs differs for everybody. So let's move into Head Start and talk a little bit more in depth about that. So similar to 4K, like we said, sometimes the Head Start and 4Ks, it's all really in the same classroom. But to qualify for Head Start, you can be 3 or 4, I should say, by September 1st. But there's also a level of demonstrated economic need. Maybe Alex, as our Head Start enrollment specialist, maybe you want to speak on that a little bit?
Sure. So like you said, we do enroll those 3 and 4-year-old children. With our program, we are looking into the incomes of our families. We follow the federal poverty guidelines that have been set in regards to family size to see if they're qualifying for our program. And like Luanne mentioned earlier, it is going to be the exact same education curriculum that is used in the Head Start program, as well as 4K and early childhood.
Thank you. And so we have Head Start classes are available at different KUSD elementary schools. And they also have Chavez, where some of our panelists' offices are based out of, Chavez Learning Station, that is specifically a Head Start school. So maybe you guys want to talk, any of you Chavez folks want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I was waiting for Sam to take that one. So we have 10 elementary schools that we have a pretty good enrollment of Head Start children in. So we try to make it convenient for families. You know, in Kenosha, they're neighborhood schools, and many families like to go to their neighborhood schools. So we have 10 elementary schools that we have a higher concentration of Head Start families in, and they can attend their boundary school there. For the others, Chavez is an option. There are some families that just like to come to Chavez. It's kind of like a daycare in that we only have 3, 4, and 5-year-old children there. There's no big 5th graders or, you know, anything else there but the little ones. And so they like that setting, that smaller setting for the kiddos. But also, if their boundary school, say, doesn't have a Head Start site, then they're able to come to Chavez as well. So, you know, again, we're about providing options for families and what works best for them and what they feel most comfortable with their kiddos. And like Alex said, it's the Head Start site. So we have Head Start guidelines that we follow in order to qualify for the program. There's some advantages of qualifying for the program. The fees are waived. We provide family support. Every family is assigned what we call a family service provider that can work closely with the family to help them become a stronger family unit by helping them meet whatever needs they have, whether it's food or housing or medical. Some families move in and they don't have a doctor or a dentist. We have a partnership with the Kenosha County Health Department and other community resources that we can help families get connected to in the community. And so we really wrap around the family in the Head Start program, which is a little different. You know, we don't, the 4K families are not provided with a family service provider or anything like that, but we do believe in involving families in their child's education. Like was mentioned in the video, the home visits that we do is done with all of our children in the program, and we'll probably talk a little bit later about the virtual home visits that we're going to be doing this year because of the COVID situation that we have. We're still doing some things virtually. So I don't know, Sam, you want to add anything else? Sam is our resident Head Start expert instructional coach and monitors a lot of the details of that program.
Sure, I can add a little bit about Head Start. I think just to add on to what Luanne said, one of my favorite things about being in the Head Start program is that our children in the program not only get the education piece that all of our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds get, no matter if they're in 4K Head Start or early childhood special ed, our Head Start children also get that family and health support that Luanne mentioned, because, you know, as early educators, we know that a child cannot learn unless they are healthy and unless their family is healthy and strong. So we really put that focus in Head Start on not just supporting the child, but having staff and resources available to ensure the whole family is healthy and strong so that those kiddos can go off to kindergarten and be their best selves. So I think that's my favorite thing. Luanne talked a little bit about fees. 4K fees just cover annual fees, the same as the families in elementary school pay. I think there's a $45 fee or somewhere around there that families pay at the beginning of the year, and then families purchase school supplies for their children. So our 4K kids and our early childhood special ed families will pay those fees, but our Head Start families, when they come in, have those fees waived. Head Start supplies all of those school supplies and things for the family. So yet another advantage of being in the Head Start program. I think unless anybody else has anything to add about Head Start, I can jump right into early childhood special ed as well. Anything else on Head Start? All right, so early childhood special ed, again, same curriculum as you're getting in 4K or Head Start. And if you have a child with special needs, you can also go to your neighborhood school. Many of our classrooms in our elementary schools are collaborative classrooms, which means there is a regular ed teacher and a special ed teacher, and sometimes an assistant as well. So we provide the support within your neighborhood school so that no matter what school you go to, your child can get the services that they need. The difference in the early childhood special ed program is that the children don't have to be 3 or 4 by September 1st. Special ed law says that as soon as a child turns 3, they transition from birth to 3 services into ages 3 to 5 services, which is what the district provides. So even if your child turns 3 in March or April or May, they can start in our early childhood special ed program on their 3rd birthday. So that's a difference in that program. So that the early childhood special ed program services children who have individual education plans, IEPs. So that would be an identified disability. If you have concerns about your child and you want them to participate in a screening for possible disability, you can have that done by calling our early childhood special education office. And I'm going to put the phone number in the chat. And I think I covered everything on the early childhood special education program, unless somebody wants to add anything else.
Great, well, thank you. I feel like we've done a pretty good job of covering our bases and kind of differentiating those different early education programs. So how can KUSD work with families to help them find which program or school or maybe child care center is the right fit for them? As I mentioned, people have different situations. I've got a couple things that I know I've heard of. You know, let's say parents are both working and their boundary school is Jeffrey Elementary, but grandma watches the kids on the other side of town. So what would that family's option be?
Call me. Call me, and you know, like you said, every situation is different, and we really try to work with families to help them out and make things work for them, because you know, early ed is so important for these little ones to be with their peers and getting that great start at their school career. So generally I can talk about if you know, they have situations, you know, just like in the elementary school, there are transfers from one boundary school to another that are allowed, basically based upon whether or not that school has the capacity or room to take additional students. And there's criteria that they watch. You know, they try to always keep the balance, the diversity balance in check with each one. But I work with all of the principals in the elementary schools, and many of them are very, I should say all of them are very accommodating and compassionate when dealing with families and situations. So definitely give early ed a call. KUSD web page, we have a 4K web page that explains the different programs, has a lot of this information on, and has our contact information as well. To just give us a call. We'll answer questions or help steer them to the right people. Or explore options. Give them, you know, we'll talk about the child care centers that we're working with, or, you know, you just got to get the details of what each family situation is.
Absolutely. And looks like Sam just dropped the phone number for the early education program in the chat. So feel free to save that number if it sounds like you are wanting to reach out, and we hope that you do. All right, so we've got about 20 minutes left. So a couple quick things I want to highlight before we move into our Q&A portion, in case anybody has any questions for the panelists. So, you know, we talked about some of these different programs that are available through Kenosha Unified's early ed program. But I think I just want to hammer home, you know, why getting your kid involved in early education is just so important. Especially, you know, we've seen, well, maybe we can kind of tie these two things together. Why early education is important, and maybe how we've seen the COVID pandemic impact young kids and their learning and development.
So I think I can help with that question. So, our early ed program really helps the kids to get a head start to be ready for kindergarten, right? And sometimes there's a misconception of what that means to be ready for kindergarten. And I just want to have families understand that we really focus on that social emotional component for our students, because we want the kids to really be able to have those opportunities in a group setting, have those opportunities to have to build friendships and solve those problems about how to share all the cars when they're playing in the block center. Have opportunities for them to talk about and learn how they can share and trade and take turns. So all of those social emotional skills that really will help them when they get into kindergarten and elementary, so they're more ready to take on more rigorous academic skills, right? So we really stress those pieces, as well as some of those just getting that experience in a classroom setting, being able to help children be able to follow directions, or self-regulation, like be able to know that it's okay to stop playing because we're going to do something else during the day, so they are not upset about having to stop. So having those experiences to be able to get them ready to handle a kindergarten classroom setting as well. Also want to say, though, that we do very intentionally help the children learn some of those academic skills, but we really focus on doing that in a play-based program. So we want the kids to be experience learning letters and numbers throughout the day in everything that they do, with the teacher being there with them, facilitating and guiding and asking questions and providing those materials for them to learn some of their alphabet and rhyming and all those math concepts with sorting and counting and getting groups to get sets of objects together. But they do it in a play-based setting, so they're engaged in it and they're interested in it. So that really helps them to then be ready when they get to kindergarten to really handle some of the more rigorous things that they're doing there. So I think I also want to say too that during that play piece of our program, it's very intentional play that the teachers are really watching and observing the kids, talking to the families to find out really what is it that the child knows, and then intentionally planning to make sure they're meeting the needs of all the kids in their class. You guys want to add anything else to that?
I can add a little bit, just addressing the effect of the pandemic, because as Katie said, an important piece that we focus on in early education is that social emotional development, and our children and all of us, let's be honest, just missed out on a year or more of social interaction with other people. And so that's what we're seeing. The nice thing about early education is that no matter the age, no matter the development, no matter where and how kids come to us, we take them where they're at and we move them forward and work with them on getting them ready for kindergarten. So even if you're, we were all home last year. So even if the kids are missing out on a year of being in those group settings, we're gonna welcome them in wherever they are and give them those learning experiences so that no matter where they are, they can be ready for kindergarten.
I want to thank both of you for saying that, because I think parents, a lot of times, the feeling is that a lot of this is based on academics and their children are young and so on and so forth. But honestly, the academics will come, but if you don't have that social emotional piece, it makes it much more difficult for children to be able to function in a classroom So I cannot express enough how important I feel that that piece is and what that truly does for those children in those 4-year-old, in those 4K classes. So yes, I just wanted to add that.
Great, thank you all. And before we move to the Q&A, in case anybody is not aware, tonight is a school board meeting. It's actually going on right now. And they are very likely, well, we know they are talking about what's going on for next school year as far as will masks be mandatory for who, for how long, and all of that. So with that still a little bit up in the air, if any of you KUSD folks want to share how the kids and families are still being kept safe at KUSD, how last year went. You saw in the video the kids were all, and teachers were all wearing masks in the video that they filmed last year. But just how, you know, how parents can feel as reassuring as we can be, how safe their kids would be in an early education setting.
Well, if you watch any of the KUSD things, they have lots of plans about disinfecting and cleaning and sanitizing things. And we even as staff members feel safe in our buildings. And yeah, last year we had masks. So whether they have, right now masks are optional, but after tonight, who knows? Maybe they will be mandatory, maybe they'll be optional, who knows? We'll have to just watch and see. But we follow KUSD guidelines in all of our classrooms and in our child care centers. We have limited materials last year. We've kind of opened that up a little bit this year because the toys have always been cleaned and sanitized, you know, weekly. The KUSD is limited exposure. We've kept classrooms as cohorts so that they were like outside on the playground equipment by themselves, not with other children. That was done throughout the district. You know, so limiting the exposure to many kids or staff has been a way of keeping everyone safe. We've done virtual home visits. They've done virtual open house, you know, to limit the exposure that people have had. I thought last year went really pretty well. In 4K, I think things managed, you know, staff managed to keep things clean. Some classrooms had materials for their AM session and materials for their PM session, so they weren't even mixing that kind of exposure as well. And I don't know, you know, Chris could probably talk about a lot of things. I think the child care centers were open while KUSD was closed through some of those times, and you know, we made it. And you know, we look forward to this year with using all of the things we learned from last year. You know, every classroom has disinfectant that they can use with the tables and clean the tables, and every classroom was outfitted with hand sanitizer, and it's really great to see how quickly kids learn how to use that stuff. You know, when they go in the classroom, when they go back from the playground, or you know, it's you know, washing their hands. They've done that as well. So a lot of the KUSD policies are well researched and well thought out in procedures and keep us all safe and clean.
Great, thank you. Oh, anybody have?
The child care centers are also doing, I mean, I can tell you from our standpoint, we did not, you know, Luanne is right, we did not close at all during the pandemic. We were open for essential workers in April and May, right after the pandemic. And then last June, the floodgates opened and we had lots and lots and lots of children here and did extremely well with really basically no real cases. We had a few cases this last fall, But very honestly, overall, with just the constant disinfecting, which is stuff that we do just normally, disinfecting classrooms. In our center, we wore masks in the 4K, but we did not wear masks. The kiddos did not wear masks in the rest of the center, and we still did remarkably well. But the staff did wear masks as well during that time when the kids didn't. So I really feel like these kids have been so resilient and have done quite well through all of this. So.
We've all been resilient, but hopefully we don't have to be for too much longer. We're running out of resilience, I fear. All right. Well, on that somewhat depressing note, we have more resilience. We just got a bunch more resilience from this wonderful panel. Thank you all for joining us. If anybody has any questions that they would like to add in the chat, or if you're wanting, you can unmute and ask our panelists directly. I will open the floor up to a question and answer format. While we wait for any questions to come through, if anybody has any last final thoughts that they want to share, now's your chance.
I guess I would just want to reiterate to those families that are watching and are hesitant on registering their child right now, that our programs, we enroll throughout the school year. So we would like for your child to start at the beginning. If that's not something that you're feeling right now, I mean, I respect that, but I hope that you do call us to get more information, help to set your mind at ease and enroll your child for this upcoming school year.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Very important thing to get out there. That right, the enrollment is ongoing. So if you can't make it at the beginning of the school year, you can come back when you're feeling comfortable.
Yeah, we'll welcome you anytime.
Right. Well, on that note, we are just about at 7:30, so I think we will wrap it up. Thank you all again for joining us tonight for a great panel discussion. I hope you learned something and found it helpful. I think we could all talk about this sort of thing on and on for hours, but we'll keep it to 1 hour tonight. Yeah. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can call the library and ask to talk to Tessa, and I can connect you with any of these folks. We've got a couple phone numbers that are in the chat that you can jot down. You can go to KUSD's website and navigate to their early education page. Again, you should be able to find any information pretty clear on there as far as contact. If you do need help navigating the KUSD website or using a computer to do that, you can absolutely come to the library and use ours for free. We're more than happy to help direct you to the information that you need online. With that being said, I think that's about it. Thank you again all for joining us tonight, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Tessa.
Thank you. Thank you. You as well.
Thank you, Tessa.
Thank you for putting this together. It was great. Bye-bye.